He is the word of the Lord. Allah. Bismillah, nahmaduhu wa nusalli.
People of Speaker's Corner, I want to share a story with you. This is a story which affects each and every one of your lives. This is something which you have been taught at school. And what I want to speak about today is two different worldviews. The first worldview is a view that all of us alive today, all of the human beings, all of the trees, all of the plants, every single thing in the wild, every elephant, every lion, every single thing going back came from one cell through a random, unguided process over billions of years with no plan in sight. And what this process does, it gives us a purpose. And that purpose is to survive and reproduce. And there is nothing higher to the human being than to survive and reproduce. And everything about us, from our morality, our rights, from our civilization and our language, everything is there purely to help us survive and reproduce. That is one worldview. That is an atheistic creation myth. That is a Darwinian fairy tale. That is one worldview. And the other worldview is the worldview of Islam. And Islam teaches all of mankind and all of the living things on earth have been created for a higher purpose than just to survive and reproduce. All of creation has been created to worship God. Sir, I'll answer your question in a second. Sir, 1 second. Relax, sir. The fact of the matter is, before you accept one worldview, you need to have evidence for that worldview. So what I'm going to do today, I want to challenge anyone who believes in this worldview. In this worldview that we came from bacteria and everything alive today came through a blind process. And this worldview, anyone that wants to challenge it or wants evidence for it, I'm willing to provide that. So, today we're going to have a conversation. Okay, now you can speak. Do you believe in this worldview?
Who created the God?
Okay, you're changing the topic.
No.
You're changing the topic.
Who created the God?
I'm here to talk about this creation myth. Who believes in this creation myth? If you believe in this creation myth, all I ask for is evidence. Hang on a second. Sir, I'm here not to answer some random vague question. I'm here to talk about something very important, which is why we exist. Sorry?
Who created God?
Sir, that's irrelevant. I am talking about how we came into existence.
Nobody knows about that.
Okay, that's fine. If nobody knows, then you don't know, that's fine. Who believes in this worldview?
I do.
Okay, sir.
Surprise, surprise.
Right. So tell me one reason why you believe this worldview to be correct.
Because it makes sense. It's plausible, and the religious view was created during a time when people didn't know. They were surrounded by mystery. A lot of that mystery has been answered now by science, and science gives us evolution, which is the most accepted theory in science, one of the most accepted theories in science.
Okay,
and
but what's the evidence for this?
Validated thousands of times with different experiments.
Sure.
The religious view is purely based on faith. There is no evidence whatsoever to support.
So, what piece of evidence do you have to believe in this worldview? I'm just asking for evidence.
Well,
We've made statements, we haven't given evidence.
Well, there's the fossil evidence,
Sure.
which we have ample.
Sure. What does the fossils say? 'Cause I agree fossils exist, but what does it say?
It shows that there is predecessors to the forms of life that inhabit the world now.
I don't disagree
from
with that.
about bygone age. And the tiers where we find these creatures are in strata of the earth. We never find remains of humans at the same level.
Okay.
So it's going back and back millions and millions of years.
Right, but those things added up, they don't support this worldview. You're just giving me random scientific observations. What's this worldview is that all of life came from the first cell, and all of the diversity of life came from a blind mechanical force. All you're doing is you're describing to me the fossil record. Sure, but how do you know that from the first bacteria till me today, this was done by natural selection? How do you know that?
Because it's shown in science that that's the
How?
way it works.
I'm just asking for evidence.
Well, if we take the evolution of bacteria, for example,
Sure.
the germs that were one time antibiotics could annihilate most of the germs that we encounter. Now it's getting less and less and less because those germs are evolving. And they're evolving.
That shows
immunity.
survival of the fittest. That's all it shows. I'm asking for, how do you know that bacteria led to an elephant? I'm not asking you, does bacteria survive
Because
when you
we
apply medicine
find,
to it? We all agree with
as I
that.
said, we find fossil evidence of more and more primitive forms of life.
How does that prove the Darwinian worldview? Okay. How does that prove the Darwinian worldview? I agree with that. I agree bacteria existed in the past and there's
you have to
prehistoric.
liken it a bit to a crime scene. If a detective comes to a crime scene,
Okay.
the criminal or the perpetrator has long gone. All he does is picks up bits of evidence to build up a picture of what happened.
I don't mind that. And you see what that is, that's speculation. Because say if a murder took place in this park today and we had no cameras, right? Everyone would say, I think it was this guy, I think it was that guy, and we'd all disagree, right? And then we'd try to add up the clues. The difference when it comes to human origins is, we're not talking about a murder which took place now, we're talking about something which happened 3.8 billion years ago. No one has any idea how life started. And when we talk about something, one second, sir. When we talk about something retrospective in history, all we can do is speculate. We can't say for sure this is what happened.
Well, we do. Evolution is accepted.
Murder scene is
totally.
That is copies to Islam, your theory.
Hang on, sir. I don't disagree with evolution, I disagree with Darwinism. These are two different things. Right? We already had this conversation 2 weeks ago.
No, you're talking about the survival of the
Maulana
fittest.
Abdul Rahim. Maulana Kareem, you talk to me.
Looks like Einstein.
Let me just finish and then you can.
Yeah, because I know his language. Where is he coming from?
Yeah, but everything, it fits together. How we've got the diversity of different creatures around the world, how creatures form families of different creatures, how we look for the relations to the whale. What's the closest relation to the whale?
That's why he is trying to.
In human terms, not in human terms, in animal terms, it's the hippopotamus of all creatures, and it shows that the whale evolved from a creature that lived on land and went back to the sea.
But sir, that's a speculation. How do you know
Keep
that?
saying it's a speculation.
Were you
But
around
it's-
7 million years ago
No,
or 50 million years
it's
ago when it
based on-
happened? You're not that old.
Based on the evidence. And the evidence, and what's really endorsed it totally is the DNA now.
Okay, what about the DNA?
Because we can profile the DNA and show where creatures come from and different families of creatures and where they've evolved from.
No, but sir, what you're doing is this. You're assuming that just because two things have some form of similarity, that they have a common ancestor. That's an assumption. That's an assumption. Because look, I agree with you. If you look at a bacteria, or if you look at a human being, or if you look at an elephant, there is some degree of similarity in structure of the cell. But that doesn't mean that it's the same, that they all came from the common ancestor. That could be the fact that it all came from the same
Because it was
creator.
a mystery before. People believed that the creator created all this diversity of creatures. But why would he do that? Why would he create, you know,
So many
1,000 different species of beetles?
And the animal.
No, but
And spread them in different places around the world. Evolution answers that
God
question.
made all
sir,
these fishes
two
and
different
all
things here.
trees and
Evolution doesn't
all
answer
human
that.
beings.
The Darwinian history of life tries to answer that. These are two different things. You keep convoluting the two. I don't disagree with evolution. I disagree with the Darwinian history of life.
One to describe evolution.
No, he was not. Evolution goes back to the Hindus about 2,500 years ago, right? Now what they did, the Brahmins and the Vedantic philosophers, they came up with this sort of idea about change. And then Aristotle, Pythagoras and all the rest, and throughout history, even in the Enlightenment period, we had all these people describing different evolutionary models. All Darwin did is he gave us the mechanism of natural selection working on variations. That's what I disagree with. And what I also disagree with is his history of evolution, which is from one cell, everything came. I think that's a grand claim and it needs some evidence.
Yeah, but it does, because if we look at the DNA, we find the same DNA within us, part of it in that tree there.
Right. And what does that show?
Because it's obviously DNA is copied and replicated by copying.
Okay.
Look, you'll have to go to school, so I can't teach you evolution right from square one. It's copied.
Right.
Well, I do know. I know more than you.
No, but how do you know the tree is linked to me? Say that's
by the
made of
DNA.
Okay, but how do you know
Comes
that?
from the tree of life.
No, but what you're doing is this. You're looking at an observation and you're giving an inference. Right? There's a difference between observation and inference. Now, if I was to ask you this, 25% of the DNA in a cow is identical to that of a snake. Why is that?
Because they've got a common origin, way
Okay.
back billions of years ago.
Okay, now let me just answer that. 25% of the DNA in a cow, you said, is because it has a common ancestor with snakes. What scientists have discovered is it's actually due to a process known as jumping genes. Nothing to do with common ancestry. So there's two different things
You've
here.
said this before, I've never heard of this.
You can read about it. Just Google
Jumping genes.
jumping genes.
Allah jumped the genes from here to there.
Look, the fact of the matter is, sir,
This is how you know fuck all. I don't know why you keep saying I know nothing. I mean, I don't mind talking to people that are reasonably educated. But somebody yelling in my ear, I know.
Sir, so there's a difference between observation and inference. What you did there, you looked at an observation and you gave an inference. Now, look,
Not me.
look, you gave a really powerful analogy about a crime scene, and I agree with you. When it comes to the history of life and what happened billions of years ago, it's like a crime scene and we have billions of sets of clues. Now what we do using those clues is we come up with theories, we come up with inferences. All I'm saying is the Darwinian history of life is one amongst other competing inferences.
Competing? Yeah. Well, what one competes with evolution?
Symbiogenesis. That's a completely different
Is that
alternative theory.
accepted by
It's accepted by some, not accepted by others.
Yeah, but evolution
Remember,
is
science
totally
is, look,
accepted
truth is not democratic, is it?
as the only explanation for life on this planet. Evolution is the only explanation that's accepted by science.
Okay, two different things here, right? It's not evolution, it's the Darwinian history of life. Two different things here, sir. Evolution just means change. Look, technically all evolution means is change of gene frequencies. That's all it means. So it's not evolution which explains, it's the Darwinian history which attempts to explain.
Darwinian built on that by natural selection.
Yes, there you go. And that's the history of life, according to them. But there are at least 7 different alternative models to Darwinism. There's symbiogenesis, there's natural genetic engineering, there is a neo-Lamarckism, the fact that we can inherit acquired characteristics, which is totally against...
I've never heard of any of them.
accepted. This stuff has been shown.
I've never heard of any of these.
Well, you need to do more reading. Look, you can't use the argument from ignorance. Just because I've never heard of Lamarckism, or I've never heard of epigenetics, it doesn't exist.
What's this Islamic view about creation?
Look, look, the fact of the matter is this. Look, the fact of the matter is this. Science changes. So you can't take a scientific conclusion and say it's never going to change.
I absolutely agree, and that's one of the wonders of science, that if you can come up with a new theory with some evidence to back it up that's testable, then that takes over as the new explanation.
Yes, exactly.
But it's extremely unlikely with evolution that
That's
something
not
new
true,
is going to
sir.
come up.
Sir, look, I'll refer to you just one book amongst many, right? There's a professor at Chicago, he's an agnostic, he doesn't believe in God. He's written a book called Evolution, a View from the 21st Century, right? What he does is he takes all of the contemporary findings in evolutionary theory today, and he says we're going to have a paradigm shift in the future. We're going to have a paradigm shift in the future when it comes to evolutionary thinking, right? Some atheists and agnostic biologists are dropping neo-Darwinism. They're saying it's dead, doesn't explain anything. So all I'm trying to get across to you is the Darwinian history of life is speculative at best. So don't put your faith in it.
How do you prove that? What is your view?
Right, hang on. Let's finish up this conversation, then I'll move on to something else. Yeah, that's the point.
Come on. You talk
But evolution, right now.
Not evolution, sir. Darwinism. Evolution is just change in gene frequency.
All right,
That's all it means.
let's say evolution, the copying of genes with the mutation of those genes, the slight mutation that is the driving force of life on this planet.
No, that's
The
Darwinism.
diversity.
That's Darwinism. Darwinism assumes.
Evolution.
Look, sir, two different things here, right? Evolution as a concept was known way before Darwin. You agree with that?
Right, not in it. Maybe it was.
Even his grandfather Erasmus Darwin, he spoke about change and the fact that we came from a common ancestor with other animals, right? Look, people had evolutionary ideas throughout history. All Darwin did is he gave a particular history and he gave a mechanism. And all I'm saying today is that's speculative. We're taught as if it's a fact by speculative.
But it's
Speculate over the Big Bang
Yeah,
theory.
it could be. No, I don't really know. There's 17 different models of the Big Bang. You know that, right?
But do you speculate over that more than you do evolution? The reason I'm asking is there's a tendency in all of us, a bias, to fit a narrative we're familiar with and argue the things that we're not familiar with, so it fits a narrative.
Yep.
So I'm assuming you're studying from the Islamic standpoint as well. Islamic
I know,
standpoint,
he won't stop
we accept
me, but not to me.
not evolution of animals into man.
Because he
there is a bias, I think, that's coming out and saying, here's what I believe, and therefore I challenge evolution. But the Big Bang fits my theory, so I won't challenge that as much.
Okay, that's a very good question. Now, I agree with you totally. It's impossible to be unbiased for every person. But all we can do is try to give objective reasons as best as possible for our worldview. Now, when it comes to, say, the Big Bang, right, there's 17 different models. And the fact that there was a beginning to the universe is something which theologically is not in conflict with my belief, right? But epistemically, I'll give it the same weight as Darwinism. I will give them both the same weight.
But will you be more accepting of one than the other?
No, I'll give them both the same weight. The reason why I'll give them the weight is because the Darwinian history of life goes back 4 billion years, roughly. The history of the universe is about 15 billion years. So the problem is, in fact, the Big Bang, if anything, is going to be more speculative than Darwinism is because of the size of the universe and because of the history.
And that's my point. So there's more speculation of something happened 15 billion years ago, but less evidence.
But I never said I believe in the Big
less
Bang.
speculation about something.
Look, I never said I believe in the Big Bang because look, at the end of the day, even physicists, they have 17 different models of the Big Bang, right? So they don't even agree amongst themselves.
Come on.
What do you think?
Come on, it's my turn. You started annoying me, sir.
What is your understanding of your universe then?
Maulana Abdul Rahim.
In what way? Because look, in what way? There's two.
How did it all start?
Okay, there's two different things here in terms of explanation, right? There is the how explanation and there is the why explanation. Science answers how. So when it comes to the water cycle, science will explain evaporation, condensation, all of that. That's the how. But there's a why, there's a metaphysical, and that is the creator, right? There's a creator behind that process. So likewise, when it comes to the Big Bang, the beginning of the universe, right? The how, I leave that to science. The why, I believe fundamentally everything, including the universe, including us, was created by God. Two different explanations.
Now it's my turn.